New Charli XCX and Converge, Knocked Loose teaming with Denzel Curry, plus more new albums and songs and stuff. I'm Dave, I'm here with Andrew, and you're listening to BV Weekly. Real quick, thank you, as always, to listeners of this Brooklyn Vegan podcast. Please make sure to subscribe on Apple, on Spotify, wherever you subscribe to podcasts, and throw us a 5-star review while you're at it. As any podcast host will tell you, it really helps. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Dave.
I know you've been busy. Thanks for getting back on with me this week.
You don't have to thank me. Happy to be here as always.
I feel like we already gave a little warning of this. You slipped it in to last week's episode, but Andrew is here for a few more weeks before taking parental leave. Congratulations, Andrew.
Thank you.
On your forthcoming baby. But he will be back. He's just taking a little break. But you'll find out. We're still continuing this podcast. We'll have guests and special co-hosts, and we'll see more. We'll keep this going, but that's not yet. So Andrew's still here.
I'm excited to be listening as I maybe get a few hours of sleep each day.
Yeah, and maybe you'll be lucky to get some TV shows in. I was just wanting to say I've really been. I want to talk about a few things I'm watching right now. First of all, that new Game of Thrones show, The Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It's like 4 episodes in as of this recording. Really good. Highly recommended if you like Game of Thrones. It kind of hit me by surprise because I didn't know it was coming, and I don't want to give any spoilers, of course, but it seemed silly, and it is a little silly, but it's also serious. And when I first saw the preview in front of other HBO shows, I almost didn't believe that it was actually Game of Thrones related. Like, thought maybe it was a spoof. Anyway, it was surprisingly good. Or
Would
not
I like it if I've never
good.
seen Game of Thrones?
No, I mean, you should watch the actual Game of Thrones before you watch this, for sure. But if you do watch Game of Thrones, this is very worth watching. And if you were turned off by that last Game of Thrones spinoff series, which is not as good, House of the Dragons or whatever, like, don't let that stop you from watching this one, for sure.
I heard good things about that. Is it considered to be a turnoff?
House of the Dragon? Or
I thought everyone liked it.
I don't think so.
Really? I felt like all my Game of Thrones friends were all about it. I
mean, I watched every episode, I will say, but so I wasn't turned off enough to not watch it, but I don't think it's that loved. Anyway, a lot of people just skip it completely because they heard it was like, meh. I don't know. But you know what else is really good?
What else?
The Pitt. Honestly, best show. It's the new ER on HBO. And it's in season 2 right now. They went quick. Season 1 was like not that long ago. And then they just like immediately came back with season 2, which has been good. Highly recommended. Not that you need me to say that. I think there's some music news on the new episode. For the new episode, which is out, like, we're taping on Thursday. It's out tonight, so I haven't seen it yet. Andrew Bird debuts a new song in this episode. The show's composer, Gavin Brivik, reached out to him to make it happen. I think this might be the most Brooklyn Vegan music-related thing that's happened so far in this show, which is not like necessarily known for its music, but though, shout out Nurse Jessie, who is the drummer of Rooney in real life. I don't know if Rooney is Brooklyn Vegan music related, but it's music related, sort of. Anyway, Andrew Bird, for those that don't know, Illinois singer-songwriter, chamber pop musician, known for whistling and playing a violin while he sings. Hopefully I got the name of the instrument right. He
plays violin, yeah.
Yeah, became pretty big in the early 2000s. He became pretty big in the NPR adjacent music world, but maybe that was always sort of true. But I was a big fan in the early 2000s and basically just associate him with indie rock in general. Like, his shows with Philharmonics coming up in his tour dates, I noticed, which makes total sense for him. But like, when I used to see him at rock venues around 2007 or so, he'd be on bills with like Wilco, Decemberists, Death Cab, Rah Rah Riot, Laura Marling. Play with like Broken Social Scene side projects, Neutral Milk Hotel side projects. So anyway, it's fun in 2026 to have Andrew Bird debuting his song in the show. Such a good show, the one I watch. I did listen to the song, which came out before the episode. It's less than 2 minutes.
Wait, so he's not debuting the song in the show?
Right. I guess that wording is kind of weird. They put out the show will be on TV like in hours. If it's actually, I don't know what time it comes to streaming. Maybe it's out already. I think of it as like coming out at night, but maybe the show did come out. Anyway, the song's out while we're recording, and it's less than 2 minutes. It's supposed to be a really emotional scene, which feels right from listening. It's always a fun thing as a like forever music nerd when a musician you loved for a long time is doing like a notable thing now that's different than just releasing the records you used to listen to, which it usually means they somehow contributed to TV and movies, like how Bryce Dessner of The National did the soundtrack to Train Dreams, which is nominated for Oscars, or Dan Deacon did the music for HBO show Task, 10 Tricks Point Never for Marty Supreme.
The
Anyway,
Yuck guy.
the Yuck guy is a big one, winning the Oscar and stuff.
But it
That
also
was
happens when they become producers, like Dan Nigro and Jack Antonoff.
yes, always fun to like track the careers of the musicians that pivot, the indie rock or whatnot, otherwise musicians that pivoted to whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a long time As Tall as Lions fan, so it never gets old for me that Dan Nigro is producing some of the biggest pop songs in the world. I can't say I was as much of a Steel Train fan, but I was a Steel Train fan. So to see Jack Antonoff become what he's become is also surreal. Like if you would have told me in 2003, but those two guys would be doing this, I never would have believed that.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing. You know what else came out?
What else?
Geese Tiny Desk.
So good.
It is. I don't want to keep saying I'm embarrassed about things on every episode, but it really is.
No, but like, I mean, it's almost, I mean, we're not alone, but like, you know, we talk about Geese pop probably too much. So I think it's a fair caveat, but we talk about Geese too much because Geese keep doing interesting things. So got to keep talking about it. I'm really happy that they finally did one of these, what's a word that could group together like Tiny Desk, Basement Sessions, SNL. I guess these like performance sessions. They finally played Cobra in one, my favorite Geese song.
Oh yeah, I read in the comments of the Tiny Desk on YouTube, someone wrote that Cameron Winter had previously said that they'll probably never be on Tiny Desk because someone at NPR doesn't like them. And you take comments with a grain of salt, but it's actually such a believable narrative that goes along with the idea that like if they weren't on Tiny Desk, you know, this is their third or fourth album. They didn't make it on Tiny Desk till now. But then I could totally picture NPR being like, no, we're good. And then now like begging them to come do it
100%.
on this album. And
yeah.
Did you notice at the beginning, Cameron was joking with the crowd? They didn't show the crowd like off screen, people standing in NPR's office watching the Tiny Desk in person. Cameron joked like, did they sell tickets to this thing? I thought only NPR staff came. And he's like, NPR, I don't want to ruin the joke. He goes, watch it. But
yeah,
he implied that there were a lot of people watching. And I was also imagining how this was probably like everybody at NPR's friends were begging them to come to this one. And
it reminded me of what we were talking about with Green Day's Super Bowl thing of like who gets to actually be in that audience.
Yeah, although I do feel like this one is probably more people really lucky to know people who work at NPR.
Mm-hmm.
And the Super Bowl one is like, well, yeah, I guess people lucky to know the owner of the football stadium or whatever it is. But yeah.
But I also thought when he was making those jokes, I'm like, oh, he's like such a rock star. Like it's almost like refreshing, I think, to kind of, I feel like it's been a while since we've had like a rising band where like the singer kind of has that real rock star attitude, mentality. Like, you know, like I feel like we've had a long stretch of kind of the opposite, like the more humble, like, hey, I'm not that, you know, and I feel like Cameron is, you know, that's definitely the Julian Casablancas in him, but
is MJ Lenderman that?
No, I feel like MJ Lenderman is like just like your friend from down the street.
He's
and
a little.
Cameron Winter is like kind of like a little bit more like even like the interviews they did, like, you know, they kind of mess with the people interviewing them a bit, like in that Beatles press conference way. Like, you know, you don't see that as much anymore.
MJ might seem a little more stoned, but he was a little rock starry. So also just came out like a day after Geese Tiny Desk is an Adam Friedland um, interview with MJ Lenderman, which you may know from his many viral reels. Did I get that right? Yeah. And but you know, there's like a full 20-30 minute interview on YouTube, the Adam Friedland show. Did you see, like, the last one was with FKA Twigs and now the new one's with MJ Lenderman. Anyway, I was just thinking MJ Lenderman is a little bit, got some rock star in him. He's making some rock star moves, even appearing on this show, I feel like a little bit, but also they talk about Cameron Winter. I don't know if there's an Adam Friedland Cameron Winter episode coming, but like clearly Adam, MJ, and Cameron were all in the same room, like right before that taping, which makes they also taped the Cameron episode. They also named the YouTube MJ Lenderman Takes Shots at Cameron Winter, which is a total joke. He actually doesn't do that, but that's just Adam's a comedian. He's like bizarre. So they went for like the funny SEO title of that one.
And then I don't know if this was the title or if it was just on the Indie Heads Reddit, but in parentheses, it was like not clickbait.
No, he actually wrote that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
it was
and
like
it
in
is,
on its own joke.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't watch, but you already watched and told me that he doesn't actually talk shit. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to.
You're only there if there's drama.
Yeah. No, but for this, like, but yeah.
Anyway,
Geese sounded amazing at Tiny Desk, and
they don't even feel like they're doing that much, but then it still just hits you. And
I mean, that was like even on SNL too, and I think that's kind of why, like, when there was all that uproar, like, you know, in defense of people who are like feeling like it's overhyped, they don't really do that much. But I also just think they sound great. And
it's, I mean, no disrespect to the whole band. They're all great, but it's something about Cameron's voice. It's like the new Tom York, not just in that he sometimes
because
sounds
like
York.
him. Yeah. No, I mean, you're right.
It's something like extra worldly, whatever the
otherworldly.
word is. Otherworldly.
Yeah, totally. Super compelling. So what else were you enjoying this week?
Oh, so other things that I've been enjoying this week, the Growing Stone acoustic EP. I just want to shout that out as often as possible. I think nobody will like it as much as me, if you really liked the last album, which you probably didn't know existed. This acoustic EP is just more fun. But anyway, get into Growing Stone. And
agreed. Get into Growing Stone.
I have one that might surprise you, actually.
Oh,
an album that has moved squarely into my top 10 that I've been really loving. And that's the new Joyce Manor album.
Nice.
You got really upset. So if you were listening on the last day of January, I gave a January top 10. Joyce Manor came out that day. I did not have Joyce Manor in my top 10.
Wait, hold on. What exactly did you say?
Oh, no, I'm getting there. I said, I'm guessing no albums that came out today are going to make the top 10 anyway. So this will probably still work. Anyway, you were pretty disappointed that applied to Joyce Manor. And you were right. You were right. And I will say what's kept happening was like a song from that album would autoplay on my streaming service after I played something else. And it was like, oh, I like this. Maybe this is the one I thought was the hit on the album. And I don't know. And then another time I was like, is this the Menzinger song right now? But it was a song off the new Joyce Manor album. Anyway, that really got me to go back to listen to the album, which doesn't take that long. How long is the album?
19 minutes.
Yeah. And now I just love it. I want to keep replaying that 19 minutes over and over again. So
I feel
that happened for me.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely, like, the day after it came out, I was doing some house cleaning and I must have played it 3-4 times in a row, which is so
Really good.
easy to do when it's the length of a third of a regular album.
Yeah. Speaking of short things, that Frozen Soul just released a 50, even shorter, 53-second anti-ice death metal song today called Absolute Zero. Good one. Nice, with a video that's a little longer than 53 seconds because it's got this cool lo-fi looking intro that references like The Shining and Blockbuster Video. Go check that out. I do have something that unfortunately I'm not yet on your level about, though. Just a quick update.
Well,
I feel
maybe
like
in 2 episodes you will be, whatever it
this
is.
happens every time they release an album. I'm just like trying to catch up to you, and it just never happens. Not really feeling the Rap Boys. I
Oh
mean,
man,
still your album
crazy.
of the year at this moment?
It's definitely my favorite indie rock album so far. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to say anything's my album of the year yet, but it's up there, top 5. I really like it. I listen to that a lot also. Um, the weekend after. I think like for me, like, I mean, like just being real, like when you get advanced copies as music press, I listen to records a lot before they're out. And then when something is finally out and I've heard it a bunch already and it's still like the only thing I play that weekend, that's kind of like the moment I know this is going to be big for me. And that was Joyce Manor 2 weeks ago. It was Rap Boys last week.
I try so hard with Rap Boys. I do. I think every album, but I will say after I've listened to the new Rap Boys multiple times. So it's one of those albums where and like it got Pitchfork Best New Music too, but
Much
like
deserved.
yeah, and let's just say other members of the BV team always reminding me about Rap Boys. So it's one of those albums where I'm going to just keep listening, but it's also one of those bands where it's like it may just not fully happen on that level for me.
I think this will make sense to nobody listening, but they have that thing that like I love and you always seem to be ambivalent about, I think.
That sums it up. I will
Yeah.
say though, after the album played it again with the autoplay, it autoplayed a song and I was like, oh, I love this one though. And then I saw it was a song from the last album. And
See, you just need some time. It's a grower.
yeah, I do wonder if that was a hit or if it was a hit to me because I had like actually listened to the last album so much.
Well, can I tell you 2 things I've been loving that you love?
Yeah.
So I've been playing the Zach Bryan album a lot,
Oh, nice.
which you said was your favorite album of the year so far in that list you made.
Yeah.
It's just one of those like when it's hard to think of what to put on, I just feel like I reach for it and it's just like I still think it's too long because I never finish it in one sitting, but it's like I'm always happy to just pick up where I left off. And this is partially inspired by my wife randomly getting obsessed with it, but I've been listening to last year's Tyler Childers album a lot, which I know you especially loved, and I also really liked. And now it's like in heavy rotation, and those two obviously fit really well together, Zach Bryan and Tyler Childers. So I feel like when I'm just needing to throw on some kind of altish country, I'm just kind of bouncing back and forth between those 2 records.
That's awesome to hear that you've gotten up fully on board with the dad rock a few weeks early.
I wait, here's a fun fact about me. I have a playlist called Dad Rock Song of the Year Award, and every year I pick the best dad rock song of that year and add it to the playlist.
What
Just for
one
me. I
last
don't
year?
share it publicly. What?
Oh, so all
No,
right.
I'll talk about it. I'm just saying it's just, but yeah, go ahead.
Well,
What was
one
last year's?
Yeah, what was 2025's?
Let me check. I'm looking at the playlist.
All right. Meanwhile, I'll do the math on how many times you could listen to the Joyce Manor album while the Zach Bryan album is playing, and I'm getting between 6 and 7.
I would have guessed like a zillion. Okay, ready? Last year's was Sturgill Simpson, Right Kind of Dream.
So then I was on point with my Zach Bryan, Tyler Childers.
And I think, to me, Tyler would be ineligible because my favorite songs on the Tyler record are more in like the sort of country ballad realm. I really like Onita and Nose on the Grindstone. The song my wife's actually gotten obsessed with is Down Under, and that was how we kind of got on this kick. But for me, it's those ballads. Um, so I feel like my dad rock song is usually more in the Springsteen, Tom Petty kind of propulsive, like heartland rock realm, and that Sturgill Simpson song is like super kind of Springsteen, maybe via Arcade Fire, via country rock kind of thing. So
Got it.
yeah.
And to be fair to Zach Bryan, when I saw him in an arena full of people singing along to every word, I was closer to a dad than most of the people in attendance who could have been my kid. Yeah, so it was like, yeah, he's got a huge young audience.
Oh yeah. And wait, I'm so sorry. Sturgill was 2024.
Oh,
I didn't add a song last year.
I should have known that, by the way. That's a good.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track of time.
So, have you listened to this new Asher White album, which covers the entire first Jessica Pratt album?
I haven't heard it.
Yeah, well, I just put it on this morning to listen to a little bit of it, but I just thought that was interesting that exists. Asher
Definitely
White.
interesting that it exists. I don't really know a lot about Asher White, so I don't know anything about Asher White. Actually, I'll be honest.
Put out albums on Bada Bing.
Okay, so it's like not crazy that they'd be an Jessica Pratt fan.
No. I mean, this is Asher White. Like Pitchfork is writing about this Jessica Pratt covers albums, notable artist. It's just interesting to me that this just came out and exists. That this indie rock artist that people like just covered an entire Jessica Pratt album. So, as a huge Jessica Pratt fan, I was curious if you had known about this.
Yeah, I knew about it. I just haven't heard it. And I think it's because I actually haven't listened to Asher White yet. So I think seeing an artist you haven't heard covered an artist you like, maybe like I'm almost like, oh, I better start with the original stuff, you know?
It also came out like a week after Jessica Pratt was on the A$AP Rocky album.
Yeah, Jessica Pratt's been everywhere lately.
Trending.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to see her kind of become this like, because particularly the first Jessica Pratt album, the one covered by Asher White, she just felt so under the radar. Like at that, like it felt like sort of like destined to be a cult classic kind of thing. Like, I mean, also because it was inspired by records that are all cultishly liked, you know, like it's not a popular style of music, very quiet, somber, psychedelic folk music that sounds like it could have come out in 1967 to 1971 roughly. But released in 2012, I believe. So it's crazy, I think, that Jessica Pratt is now becoming more of like a household name and not changing up her style really to be anything more marketable or whatever. So really cool to see that. And you know what? I'll use this moment as another chance to plug the new Jana Horn record, which is in that same realm as early Jessica Pratt. So maybe in 8 to 15 years or something, we'll be talking about Jana Horn being sampled by pop singers and rappers.
That's another one I need to get on your level with.
So good. But I'm like totally obsessed with that exact kind of folk music. So all you have to do is sound a little something like Sybil Bayer and you're going to be in my rotation.
So there's this new Charli XCX album out this week.
Yes.
Can you explain this to me? This is an actual Charli XCX album. This is the first album since Brat. There's no other album coming later this year. Like, what's the whole story with this album? What's the movie have to do with it?
It is a real album. So it's the soundtrack. It's called Wuthering Heights, and it's the soundtrack to the film of the same name, which is an adaptation of the 1847 novel of the same name. The film stars Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi, aka Nate Jacobs, in Euphoria. And then Charli XCX has her own new film out the moment, unrelated. A.G. Cook did the score for that. That came out 2 weeks ago. So it's like in the same 2 weeks, Charli has a movie and then a soundtrack for a different movie.
That explains why I've been so confused. Keep going.
It is confusing. And then not only that, but you're like, oh, it's a movie soundtrack. So like it's a film score or something. It's not a real, it's a real album. Like it's a standalone. I haven't seen the movie, but like I almost wonder if she like didn't want to market it as a follow-up to Brat, like because of the pressure that would come with that or something. Like, I don't know, but it's like totally an album. So it's really interesting. And I hope that people aren't like, don't overlook it as like, oh, I assume that's like a soundtrack thing. Like it's a full album of songs where Charlie XCX sings lead, and like they're all songs. They're not like it's not film score stuff. Um and it's definitely for the fans of Charlie's more experimental side. Like when she did, I felt like before it's almost funny that Brat became like her biggest record, because when Brat first came out, I felt like it was the most perfect middle ground between Charlie's like pop star side and her more indie experimental art rock avant-garde side. And then it became her biggest pop album, even more so than her albums that were like overtly pop albums. But I think this one is really for like the fans of her arty side. Like, when she was talking about the Brad album cover, she was talking about taking inspiration from the Velvet Underground and Nico album cover, like something so simple yet so iconic. Which, I mean, I think no argument there. The Brat cover is as simple and now basically on its way to being as iconic as the Andy Warhol banana. Um, but this album sounds like a Charlie XCX album for people who like Charlie XCX and the Velvet Underground. And in fact, John Cale of the Velvet Underground is on the album. There's two guests, him and Sky Ferreira. And then I think Laurie Anderson plays cello on a song, obviously the same realm. So it's like, I guess it kind of sounds like, I don't know, Dead Can Dance meets Kate Bush as interpreted by Charlie XCX or something like that. It's way in the kind of like, it still sounds like Charlie, and she still has these moments that you're like, okay, like this could have maybe been one track on Brat. Like Brat couldn't have this whole record, but moments could fit on Brat. But then there's a lot of moments where you're almost like, whoa, like I almost can't believe this is Charlie, but it sounds like her. It's got the distinct Charlie XCX-ness. I think it's a really, really, really cool record that I think is going to win over some of the people who maybe don't listen to a lot of pop music.
He's
but had
speaking to me right now. He's speaking about me right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see, like, because I always find it interesting when an artist makes music that would appeal to a fan base that you don't associate with that artist fan base. Because you have to wonder, like, will they even check it out? Like, I mean, like, just it's on my mind because I was thinking about what you would knock off your top 10 of January. Your number 10 was Ulver. And when Ulver pivoted from like black metal to trip hop, it's like, are the trip hop fans even knowing about this? You know what I mean? So I think this is like that, where it's like, do the people who listen to like neoclassical dark wave realize that Charlie XCX's new record is for them? Like, I think it remains to be seen. I'm really curious to find out.
Will Ethel Cain fans take to this?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely more accessible than like the really ambient Ethel Cain stuff. But yeah, I think if you like, I think in general, like it's closer to Ethel Cain than it is to Brat.
Well, you definitely have me super interested with all the comparisons. I got to, especially now that I understand what it is, I got to go hear it today.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest hurdle is just figuring out what it is, and that it's not related to her own movie. Like that was confusing me. I'm like, wait, so she's got a soundtrack to a movie and her own movie 2 weeks apart, and they're completely not related. And I say her own movie, that's complicated too. I don't even know the full. Like, it's not like she directed it, but it's somehow her brainchild or something. But anyway, shifting gears into another really interesting thing released this week that is nothing like Charli XCX. Knocked Loose put out their first song since 2024's You Won't Go Before You're Supposed To, which was like total game-changing Knocked Loose album. It made them a Grammy-nominated band. It brought them to open for Slipknot on an arena tour. It had a legendary Kimmel performance. They just, I mean, became the biggest hardcore band not called Turnstile. when they released that record, and we've all been waiting to see what they do next. And their first new song since then is a collaboration with rapper Denzel Curry. So really different than what Knocked Loose have done before. The first thing they've done since that record is a surprise. But at the same time, the Knocked Loose parts of the song, I think, kind of sound like classic Knocked Loose. It's like, I would say, like, when I heard they were going to collaborate with Denzel Curry, who, by the way, not his first foray into rock music at all. He kind of went viral or something like that back in 2019 when he covered Rage Against the Machine's Bulls on Parade. And that same year, he collaborated with Fucked Up and Bad Brains for a Spotify session. And so we know Denzel Curry can do rock stuff. We knew that Knocked Loose, their version of hardcore, metalcore, metallic hardcore, whatever, has been, you know, again, they toured with Slipknot. Like they're part of the reason that nu metal is having a bit of a comeback and, you know, like getting reevaluated within the hardcore scene and called an influence on hardcore. And so I kind of felt like, okay, like they're doing a song with a rapper. Like, is this going to be straight up a nu metal song? And Knocked Loose's parts are like, especially in like the hardcore punk realm for them, I feel. It's one of their more like overtly punk songs, like more of a Circle Pit song than like a Wall of Death song. And then Denzel Curry comes in and takes the song in a totally different direction. And it's it just doesn't sound anything like I expected it to. And I'm excited about it. It makes me like, I'm like, I don't know if it's a standalone single. I don't know if it's the first single of a forthcoming Knocked Loose album. If it is on a Knocked Loose album, I'm curious to hear what else that album would have in store, like, or if they consider this to be too different. Then, you know, I mean, this is all speculative. I have no idea what's happening next. So it's just really interesting, I think.
It definitely comes like in the spirit of the Judgment Night soundtrack, which famously paired popular metal artists with popular rappers on
Alternative
an entire
rock,
soundtrack.
I'd say.
Alternative
Sonic
rock.
Youth were on that.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But I think of like, hardcore metal crossover bands like Biohazard with Onyx on there. And so, you know, that history also being taught to some people on social media there's a lot of discourse about this track right now. I think there's some discourse about like, oh, wow, this is so great for Knocked Loose and Denzel Curry to be doing something new, which then people are like, this is not new at all. What are you talking about? But then there's also a lot of people defending the song against haters. Again, this concept of like, is it the hate for the song that's trending, or is it the supposed hate that people are defending it against that's trending? But there's this big, specifically, maybe somebody said this was coworker music, which caused it to go viral. So there's lots of people explaining why they don't think this is coworker music, or saying, if this is coworker music, please let me know where that job is because I want it.
Yeah. Can I say I hate that phrase? I have no idea what that means. Like, I mean, I guess the implication is that you're cool, but you work with people who aren't cool and don't listen to cool music. So whatever they like isn't like, but that's ridiculous. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
That is definitely, right. Like, it's normie music, your normie coworker likes.
Yeah, normie music makes sense, but coworker music doesn't. Like, again, like, like, that's just implying that like everyone using that word is the sole cool person at their job. Like, what if your coworker's a metalhead? Like, your coworker's listening to like, you know, the Frozen Soul Anti-Ice song, and you're listening to like Rap Boys. Like, maybe, you know, like, I don't know. It's ridiculous.
It definitely loses meaning when it goes into the algorithm. Maybe its origins came from, you know, among your snobby group of friends, the coworker music. But yeah, once it's out there, and for sure, the way people are replying to this are interpretations all over the map, and some people pointing out that it's a lost all meaning anyway.
It should have never had meaning. I don't like that phrase. I mean, my coworkers all like cool music. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, Pitchfork just did that top 10 video a Perfect 10 video with Olympic athletes. Like a lot of them had cool taste. I don't know. Like it's not that weird. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, Death to Coworker Music out for 2026. Coworker Music. Don't stop calling things that.
Knock Loose and Denzel, not the only big collaborative thing among heavy band collaborations that were announced this week.
No. Also, Melvins and Napalm Death.
Right, which it's not technically a new collaboration, but it's a new album and some new songs. And go ahead, tell us what that one is.
Well, they're releasing an album, a collaborative album called Savage Imperial Death March. It's a collaborative album, not a split, and it's an extended version of the tour only, vinyl only album that came out last year when they toured together for the Savage Imperial Death March Part 2 tour, which was a sequel to when they first did that tour under that name in 2016. And so like now Melvins and Napalm Death I think of as just like frequent associates of each other, but they're both bands who have been around since the 80s, and they talk in the press release for this record about like being fans of each other's music from afar long before meeting. And I mean, makes total sense, but really cool to hear. Always, to me, it's always cool to hear a musician you love talk about music they love. It's just a very cool thing. So yeah, they went from being fans of each other to being tour mates to being collaborators. And I mean, I don't have the tour only version from last year, so I've only heard the single that's out now, which is called Tossing Coins into the Fountain of Fuck. And it's one of those greater than the sum of its parts type collaborations. Like it doesn't sound like Napalm Death, it doesn't sound like Melvins, but it does sound like both at different times, and really, really cool stuff. So
both extremely influential heavy music bands who have been who have changed their sound over time and just continue.
Well, Napalm Death have changed their sound.
Okay, well, and
no, it's not
but
fair.
but you know, Melvin's
No.
1 minute is going. All right, yeah, that's a little. That's Andrew's form of a diss, but you know, 1 minute Melvins have like 3 drummers, and
yes, they do. They do weird things. They change it up. I'm exaggerating. I'm exaggerating, but I think there's more of like a classic Melvin sound than Napalm Death. Like you know, early Napalm Death sounds pretty much nothing like the music they made in more recent years, which it's also been a long time since the Napalm Death record, I think. But like Napalm Death's evolution is like I would have predicted. Whereas I think Melvins will still make records that kind of sound like late 80s, early 90s Melvins records.
Right. And both bands, you know, super worth seeing live. So the idea with it, when they tour together, that's like such a treat.
Yeah.
And this album for sure is a treat. We also launched an exclusive vinyl variant. It's coming out on Ipecac. We launched an exclusive vinyl variant of that one, which sold out in hours. So unfortunately, that one's gone. But we do have another color vinyl version of the album in our shop. So go get that, shop.brooklynvegan.com, before that's gone too. And Melvins and I was just going to say, Melvins and Napalm Death both have tour dates coming up. Unfortunately, this time not together. Although it was only last year that you could have seen them together. But yeah, moving on.
And speaking of collaborative music from bands touring together that is only available if you go to the tour, the Dropkick Murphys Haywire tour kicked off this week. And at the merch table is their new split. This one's a split, unlike the Melvins Napalm Death, which is fully collaborative. It's called New England Forever. And though it is a split, there is collaborative aspects. There's 4 songs on each side. Dropkick Murphys has a song featuring Haywire. Haywire have a song featuring Dropkick Murphys, and they cover each other. And then there's 2 original songs just on their own from each. I haven't been to the tour. I was lucky enough though to hear the split, and I highly recommend it. If you are going to this tour, pick this up at the merch table. You're not going to regret that. When the tour kicked off in Portland on Monday, and Austin from Haywire joined Dropkick Murphys on stage for Citizen Ice, which they did release on streaming services and everything. That one's like totally public now, and obviously, very topical, very timely song. And I was actually just when Bruce Springsteen released his Ice song recently. I'll be honest, I haven't read the full article, so I'm just kind of going off a headline here. But I thought Stephen Hyden wrote something that I think the headline was something like, I kind of want protest music to be a little angrier. Like, I could be butchering this. It's just kind of completely off the top of my head, something I saw while scrolling through the void. And I feel like this is the kind of angry protest music that we just need right now. It feels like what punk should be all about. And this whole split is what punk should be all about. And it's like the two bands really meet in the middle. Like Dropkick Murphys kind of tone down their Celtic punk influences, really go towards their street punk and oi and hardcore kind of influences. Haywire being like an oi/hardcore band, just kind of do what they do. But also, like, I think while the split brings out that Dropkick Murphys make a great hardcore band, it also brings out that Haywire are such a good like melodic band. Like this Haywire song "Always on My Side" that the Dropkick Murphys cover is such a catchy anthem. And I like Austin's voice, but the Dropkick Murphys make it seem even more catchier and even more catchy. And I think it's just like one of those things where if you're a Dropkick Murphys fan and you hear this, you would probably instantly love it, and you'd just be like, "Oh, I need Haywire in my life." And then Haywire cover, I'm forgetting which one, but I think it's called "The Boys Are Back." It's a Dropkick Murphy song, and it's like it's a pretty anthemic Dropkick Murphy song, and Haywire do total justice to it, like kind of their way of showing like, we do the gritty, angry stuff, but we can handle the catchy choruses too. So I think this is like I think it's going to be, I think it's an album that like makes the case for why Haywire are so talked about right now. Like, it's just, if you have been wondering what the hype's all about, and a lot of it's been about the live show, and you're like, well, like, I haven't seen them, I want to listen to something. I feel like you would hear this and you'd be like, yep, I get it. And then I also feel like Dropkick Murphys, it's kind of one of their most exciting releases in a while. Like, it's definitely, I mean, they've been everywhere lately. They've been outspoken politically. That's kind of been, I think, bringing them a little bit back into the public consciousness. But I think, they're such a long running popular band. Maybe if you're a younger hardcore kid, you might be like, oh, I don't need this pop punk band from like the late 90s or whatever. But this album, I think, definitely makes the case that Dropkick Murphys belong right there in the current punk conversation. So I'm really happy about this release. I can't recommend going to this tour and picking it up enough.
I am bummed that tour. I mean, it's playing in Westchester near here, but not. I don't think it's coming into New York City proper.
But if you live in Boston,
I mean,
yeah.
If you could fly to Boston to see this exact lineup, that would be the time to fly to Boston.
How
Drive
far
to
you
Boston.
Think, yeah.
I'm talking to our listeners worldwide right now. Sorry. But yes, I could potentially drive up to Boston.
Take the Amtrak.
Oh, right. That's right. One of our friends just came this direction on that exact Amtrak, now that you mention it. Anyway, I don't think I'm making it to Boston. But all I'm trying to say is, if there's any show...
you're not shipping up to Boston?
If there's any show to see in Boston, it's this one.
It's the Dropkick Murphys annual St. Patrick's Day show is specific.
Oh my God, yeah.
I have never been to that run, but I imagine it's ridiculous.
I'm not going
Probably
to South
the
by
most
Southwest.
amount of beer ever, or whiskey.
Yeah, I'm not going to South by Southwest for the first time in forever this year. So maybe that's usually during St. Patrick's Day. Gotta look into this. All right.
There you go. Maybe a trip to Boston is in order for you.
It is like a crazy week for like heavy hardcore
from
bands.
Boston.
From Boston, Converge's new album is out. Love Is Not Enough. So
pairs
now,
well with Melvins and Napalm Death.
How does it compare to the last Converge album? How many years has it been?
It's been 9 years. Can you believe that? Not counting the Blood Moon record with Chelsea Wolfe and Stephen Brodsky from Cave In, but like, I can't believe. I mean, it's because the Converge are always doing something, and then all the side projects, and then Kurt Ballou producing a million records. So it's like hard to imagine. And then Death Wish, you know, J Balvin's label. But it's been almost a decade since a proper non collaboration Converge album. And how does it compare, you asked?
Yeah, how to compare to the last one, or what direction have they gone in? Does it sound like classic Converge? Are they doing something totally new?
I think it's the fastest Converge album since You Fail Me, which came out over 20 years ago. Um, like actually kind of similar to what I was saying about Knocked Loose. It feels much more like a punk Converge album than a metal Converge album. Like the last album in particular, I felt like they were a little bit more leaning into like the kind of slower post metal stuff. I mean, put me back. They have plenty of fast, chaotic songs on every record, including that one. But I felt like they were kind of doing like you see this like it's like a stereotype, I guess, with like kind of elder heavy bands, like being like, oh, now that we're like elder states bands, we do like post metal. You know, it feels like it's a good look for kind of like an aging band, I guess. I don't know. It feels older and wiser and more grisly to be a post metal band, you know? And I feel like there's a little bit of that on that record. And so this one is like the opposite, 180. Like it's just Converge at their fastest. I can't believe how quickly the album ends. Not as quickly as Joyce Manor, but real quick. And it's just I don't get how they do it. Like it's not even aging gracefully. It's like ignoring, it's like completely throwing out the window the concept of aging as a band. It's just being as urgent and ferocious and furious as this band was 25, 30 years ago, as they were 10, 15 years ago, as they've always been. Every single time Converge drops or tours, it's just urgent and ferocious. And I just don't know how they do it. It's so good. It's like, it's still so much better than like most music in its own realm. Just Converge remain the GOATs.
Axe to Grind actually talked about this a little bit, and they were like, do the kids realize still how good Converge are? Because Converge have lasted as like a cool band, as an important band that you needed to know for a lot longer than a lot of other bands. So what is your answer to this question? Is the new Converge album getting attention from the kids right now, or is it going to remind them? Is it going to bring them back into the conversation?
I mean, I couldn't tell you what the kids like. I don't know. We should interview the kids. Go to like a Balmora show and wait, they're literally touring with Converge this year.
You mean Poison the Well? Oh, Balmora
both.
is term.
It's
Oh, right.
Yes. Poison the Well, Converge, Balmora, Spy. But go to like
Okay.
I guess
I
go
mean,
to
that's a,
yeah. So I mean, but is now you have me wondering, like, did they book Balmora and Spy to get the kids there? Which, you know, that happens. Like
but also like Poison the Well would play, or did play, Balmora's festival. Like,
yeah.
would Balmora curate Converge? Is another way to say.
Balmora, I bet Balmora would, because I think that the members of that band are smart and probably know a lot about music, and like they're probably the type of people who would balk at the idea that anyone would be questioning Converge. I can't imagine the members of Balmora have anything but the utmost respect and admiration for Converge. And I'm sure they're stoked to be touring with them and Poison the Well.
Right. Well, would you say they're more directly influenced by Poison the Well, though?
I mean, no. To me, like, I don't know. Aren't they more like deathcore almost? Like, I mean, yeah. I don't know. I don't. There are a lot of bands out there that sound a whole lot like Poison the Well. I Promise the World being probably the biggest, hottest one right now. To me, Balmora are more like the deathier side of this stuff.
Right.
But which maybe means that they're comparable to Converge offshoot Umbra Vitae, the J Balvin's death metal band. But yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what the kids like. I know that multiple generations have had their Converge moment. So I just hope that this is this generation's Converge moment. Like, I think it is a record that is absolutely good enough to be your first Converge album. So like, I mean, my first Converge album was Jane Doe, um, and a lot, sold. I know that like I know a lot of people whose first Converge album was Axe to Fall, and they love them. I know a lot of people whose first Converge album was All We Love, We Leave Behind. I always butcher that title. I don't know if I got that right. Um, and they love the band. So I feel like this is yet again like Converge this could be your first Converge record. Um, so I don't know if the kids like them, but we'll find out, I guess.
What else is out this week?
I think this might be the first huge release week of 2026. There's way too much out this week. I'm overwhelmed, which is a good problem to have, but I am overwhelmed. Um, Also in the heavy music realm, that Worm album, Necropalace, that we've talked about being really excited about, is here, and it's just like so good. Um, Recommended if you like Tribulation and Blood Incantation, just like proggy, melodic, extreme metal that's just all over the place. Um, Jill Scott's first album in 11 years, To Whom This May Concern, is really good. I mean, if you're unfamiliar, Jill Scott was kind of part of that first neo soul wave. Her first album was 2000, but like, that kind of mid 90s, early 2000s neo soul kind of moment she was part of. And she has like a powerhouse voice that like when she first came out was compared to people like Marvin Gaye and Minnie Riperton. And, now she's like, so she took from the past and she kind of changed the future. I mean, you get people like SZA and Tyler the Creator calling her an influence. So, and she's got some kind of newer guests on this record, like Absol and JID. And most excitingly, there's a song with Tierra Whack produced by DJ Premier. Jill Scott raps on it. Tierra Whack also raps on it. Really good. Angel Dust have a new record called Cold to the Touch. Sounds like classic Angel Dust, which probably kind of a loaded statement because they have so many different lineups and genres throughout their existence. But somehow it just feels like Angel Dust in a nutshell. And, they, alongside Turnstile, who they used to share members with, kind of helped pioneer this kind of wave of melody forward post-hardcore that has kind of come to prominence more recently. And this record is right up in that exact, I think, no disrespect, obviously, but if you wanted a little more of the faster punk side of Turnstile on Never Enough, then I think Angel Dust kind of have more of that on this record. Remember Sports have a new album called The Refrigerator, which I would say recommended if you like Rap Boys and Wednesday. This is probably going to go down as an underrated album. I just don't know that they're getting the push they deserve, but I think that especially with all the love for bands like Rap Boys and Wednesday, I think this might, we might see this on those like overlooked albums of 2026 lists, and that's not a diss at all. It's just because the album's so good, and I just think it deserves more of a push. Ransom, Boldy James, and Nicholas Craven have a collaborative album. Well, it's only 7 songs, but EP maybe project called Salvation for the Wicked. You kind of know what you're getting from those guys. Really good boom bap revival, and just the three of them together, I think makes it pretty exciting, and it's awesome. Honor Choir is this band that basically set out to sound like Boxcar Racer. And they do it really, really well. But there's other stuff too. They also say they're influenced by like Far and Hey Mercedes and Rival Schools, which I feel like if these bands are all bands you like, there's definitely like a kind of vibe there, like almost like underrated early 2000s post-hardcore bands. So this sounds like the best underrated post-hardcore album from 2002 released in 2026. Just an EP. It's their debut EP, but I'm so excited about this band. It's really doing really cool stuff. Hemlock Springs has a record called The Apple Tree Under the Sea. Amanda reviews this one on Brooklyn Vegan in notable releases. And I haven't heard it, but Amanda informs me that Hemlock Springs is the alt pop artist whose 2022 single Girlfriend went viral on TikTok. That was her second single. This is her debut LP. She opened for Chapel Roan last year. And she says the appeal of this album to me is her very bold voice and personality. It's also art pop leaning with shades of artists like Kate Bush, in addition to having obvious appeal to Chapel fans. And then more alt pop, also reviewed by Amanda in notable releases this week, is Sarah Kinsley's Fleeting EP, We talked about the Dropkick Murphys and Haywire record, which you got to go to their tour to get. We talked about Converge and Charli XCX. Not new music, but the Beach Boys put out their We Got a Groove box, and that includes their lost, cultishly loved via bootlegged album Adult Child, which was intended to be the follow-up to Love You, which is also a cult classic Beach Boys record. Now, I'm one of the biggest Beach Boys fans, you know, Dave, and you kind of called me out on an earlier BV Weekly episode for not actually knowing this album, which is true, and I didn't know it before it was announced, which is crazy to me because I have spent an unhealthy amount of time going down the rabbit hole that is the Beach Boys. But I've now heard this record a bunch of times. I feel lucky, actually, to have started with this nicely remastered version. And kind of the TLDR on this one is it was Brian Wilson going for like a crooner, like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin kind of album. But it was in his like home recording, like just kind of like wacky late 70s period, the same period that, again, produced Love You. So it's like this like bedroom pop crooner album that only Brian Wilson could do. Nobody else could ever do this. And it's just as awesome as those who have said it's awesome for 50 years or whatever have been saying it is. And I'm so happy that it's going to be available publicly, widely, officially. And then adding to the slew of records out this week to that Bill reviews over in Indie Basement at BrooklynVegan.com is the debut album from Ireland band Cardinals. Quoting Bill here, they blend elements of post-punk with traditional Celtic instrumentation. Hey, maybe for fans of Dropkick Murphys. That's me inserting myself into Bill's quote. Back to Bill, without ever taking things to, in their words, diddly territory. And hey, stay tuned because frontman Ewan Manning will be on the Bill-hosted BV Interviews podcast this Monday, the other Brooklyn Vegan podcast that we also highly recommend you subscribe to and give a 5-star rating to and listen to all the time because Bill does amazing interviews on it. And then Luke Temple and the Cascading Moms. You may know Luke from Here We Go Magic and Art Feynman. And his new band, the Cascading Moms, this is their second record. It's in similar territory to the Art Feynman stuff, if I'm saying that correctly, with tropical pop elements, jazz, 70s AOR. So, yeah, lots to listen to this week.
You're making me realize that I've always pronounced it Art Feynman in my head.
Well, that's definitely wrong. I might be wrong, but that's not right.
No, I know it's not right because unless the spelling we have is wrong, it's Feynman or however you're saying it. But I never said it out loud, and for years, just reading Bill's reviews, I had Feynman. Anyway,
I saw a tweet recently. It said, "Don't make fun of people who pronounce words wrong because all that means is they learned it from reading." And I like that. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Stop making fun of me. I just read a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, there's so much music this week that also includes new singles, new songs from upcoming albums and EPs. One thing that I'm super excited about is we're getting an Anna Calvi EP with 4 songs that are all collaborations, with one with Iggy Pop, one with Perfume Genius, which is a Bonnie Prince Billy cover of I See a Darkness, which actually that one's out already, but one of the best songs ever written. Laurie Anderson, which is a cover of Kraftwerk's Computer Love, one of the best songs ever written. And The National's Matt Berninger. And the Iggy Pop duet, God's Lonely Man, is out this week. Kevin Morby, another big favorite around the BV orbit, announced a new album called Little Wide Open, also full of collaborations. It was produced by Aaron Dessner of The National, second National-related thing in a row here. And it's got contributions from Justin Vernon of Bon Iver, Amelia Meath of Sylvan Esso, Katie Gavin of Muna, Lucinda Williams, Matt Davidson of Twain, Meg Duffy of Hand Habits. The list goes on. Lots of people are on this one. First single, Javelin with Amelia Meath, is out now. And I like it a lot. It sounds like classic Kevin Morby to me, which is a great thing to sound like. One of our favorite newer bands, band Echo Astral, their debut record, Pink Balloons, was like one of our favorite debuts of the year it came out, probably a couple years ago now. And they just announced their anticipated sophomore album, The Beltway is Burning. And the new single is amazingly titled Lil Xan Goes to Washington. Why? Well, band member Liam Hughes says, in times when Nicki Minaj is tight with the president, it feels right that Lil Xan becomes a lobbyist. Um, Here's one I was really waiting for. When they announced that War Child benefit album, Help 2, there's a collaboration from Damon Albarn of Gorillaz and Blur, Brian Chatton of Fontaines, and K Tempest. That's called Flags, out this week. I think it lives up to what you'd want from those three. Victoria Monet, who like really blew up on her last record, with particularly that song On My Mama, put out this song Let Me. I mean, she's like a, you know, awesome R&B singer. She's opening some of the dates on Bruno Mars's tour this year, so big crowds await her. And this song Let Me is like, it just feels like an I'm back, I'm ready for my next era kind of single. So we might be getting a very, very big Victoria Monet record this year. And then yeah, that's, I mean, so much else, but I'm going to stop myself there. What else happened this week, Dave?
Well, you said we just found out that Justin Vernon, Bon Iver, is on the new Kevin Morby album that's coming. Bon Iver's Justin Vernon is also bringing back the Eau Claire Festival he co-founded with Aaron Dessner of The National for the first time in 8 years, with a lineup that includes Kevin Morby, as well as Amy Mann, who's going to be playing Bachelor #2, Daniel Caesar, Dijon, who is huge right now, and of course does a lot of collaborations with Justin Vernon, Lil Yachty, Black Sabbath cover band rehearsal, which is a bunch of cool musicians that play shows every once in a while here in New York City. Like I think, what's his name from the Yeah Yeahs, and
Yeah, Nick Zinner.
And what's her name from Dirty Projectors, sings in that.
Is it Angel Deradorian?
No, yes.
Yeah. And I think one of the Krallis members in this band.
I think so.
Yeah, it's like
it changes the lineup sometimes.
It's like
but
the
they play Black
avant-garde
Sabbath.
metal scene and a lot of indie rock people covering Black Sabbath.
Yeah, super cool. Kevin Morby, I said, Hotline TNT, and much more. Bon Iver is not actually listed on the lineup, but something called Bon Dylan is. So remains to be seen if that's Bon Iver covering Dylan, Bon Iver under a secret name, Bon Iver with collaborators covering Dylan. Anyway, anything's possible.
Or maybe
Meanwhile,
it's a collaboration between Bon Iver and who else is named Dylan? Dylan Baldy from Cloud Nothings.
I think you figured it out. Meanwhile, in completely unrelated news, Twisted Sister have canceled their 50th anniversary tour, and that's because Dee Snider has resigned from the band due to health issues. We hope Dee is doing okay. On this week's episode of the BV Interviews pod, that, as mentioned earlier, next week we'll have Cardinals. This week, Bill talks with Amelia Fletcher and Rob Percy of 90s indie pop icons Heavenly, who are gearing up to release their first album in 30 years. 2000s emo fans, take note. Jimmy Eat World are doing a Bleed American 25th anniversary tour with so many amazing openers: Sunny Day Real Estate, The Get Up Kids, Hey Mercedes, Thrice, Girls Against Boys, Minus the Bear, Sparta, Rise Against, Pop, Hot Mulligan, etc. And Taking Back Sunday and Bayside are also teaming up for a joint tour. So many of those bands on the Jimmy Eat World tour I actually saw just from going to 2 years of Best Friends Forever, which is taking 2026 off, including Jimmy Eat World doing a lot of Bleed American and Sunny Day and Get Up Kids and Hey Mercedes. Anyway,
It's
Hey
cool
Mercedes,
that they've got these like kind of the bands that influenced them, because it's like they could have so easily done Bleed American with like other popular early 2000s emo and pop punk bands that they were, you know, associated and touring with at the time. So I think it's cool that like maybe if you're like the Best Friends Forever crowd knows all this stuff, but maybe if you're more of like I got into Jimmy Eat World with Bleed American, never went back to Clarity kind of fan, this could be your first Sunny Day Real Estate show. It could be your first Get Up Kids show. So pretty cool.
that is a really cool point. And but then also some of like much newer exciting bands like Hot Mulligan and Pup.
Yeah,
also
and
on
Mom
there.
Jeans are on it. Illuminati Hotties, Jay Som. Yeah, it's cool. They've got everything. They've got the bands that influenced them. They've got peers. They've got newer bands that they probably influenced or at least indirectly paved the way for. So it's kind of what you want. You can't do anything except love the curation of this tour.
Right. I noticed Jay Som is on there, which was not surprising at all, considering the singer of Jimmy Eat World sings a song on Jay Som's new album as well, when I saw that. not emo, but more 2000s rock nostalgia. The Hold Steady are doing a Boys and Girls in America 20th anniversary tour with residencies in a few different cities. New York City is going to be happening in December, which is when they always do a residency in New York. But this time it'll be this theme. And then they announced a few of the other things happening in other cities, including a Chicago show with Built to Spill, Bully, and Titus Andronicus, all on that lineup. I would like to be at that one. Rapper Baby Keem announced a new album called Casino, which features Kendrick Lamar and comes out next week along with a tour. The tour includes his headlining set at Governor's Ball and a much smaller New York City show one day before that at Brooklyn Paramount. Teen Suicide announced a tour with some amazing openers: Cloud Nothings, Liquid Mike, the UK band. All right, at this point, I start to lose it. The UK band University, which we were hyping a couple months ago here on this show. Yeah, is it the first shows we've seen University announce?
I
here?
think the first US shows we've seen, yeah.
Yeah. Fan Club Wallet, Pure Hex, Anthers. Sad news, we lost too many musicians this week. It seriously felt like every 5 seconds there was another obituary announcement. Rest in peace to Television bassist Fred Smith, Pogues drummer Andrew Rankin, Cake guitarist Greg Brown, Three Doors Down singer Brad Arnold, not to mention Dawson's Creek star James Vanderbeek. Sad week. Lots of sad announcements. I'm sure I'm missing people too. Mariachi El Bronx's first album in 12 years, Mariachi El Bronx 4, is out this week, and they're live streaming their album release show from Tijuana on Veeps on Saturday. Matt from the band also made us a video where he talks about 5 of his favorite albums of all time, and you can check that out on the Brooklyn Vegan YouTube and social media channels. Make sure you're following us on Brooklyn Vegan's Instagram. Check out BrooklynVegan.com. Check us out on Twitter/X, YouTube, Threads, Blue Sky. Subscribe to this podcast. Leave us 5 stars. Now's the time, because we're about to stop talking. All right. So until next week, Andrew and I will both be back next week. It's been Brooklyn Vegan's BV Weekly. Later.
Thanks for tuning in. Dave and I will be back every Friday morning with new episodes of BV Weekly. And in between the episodes, you can always get much more from us at BrooklynVegan.com, on all of our social media, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can pick up records from us at shop.brooklynvegan.com. And if you like what you hear, tell your friends about us, subscribe to the show, give us a good rating. All that little stuff goes a really long way. It really helps us a lot, and we really appreciate it. So until then, thank you again, and see you next time.